Gentlelady yields. The chair now recognizes the representative from Illinois, Ms. Ramirez, for her 5 minutes.
Thank you, Chairman, and thank you, Ranking Member. You know, it's our first Oversight Subcommittee hearing this Congress, very first one. And I find it really ironic that we're discussing waste, fraud, and abuse when you have an unelected civilian like Musk and Trump who are actually gutting every single tool that DHS has to actually address waste, fraud, and abuse. I mean, just think about it. One of the very first actions from this administration that the gentlelady from Georgia loves to brag about, was to fire 17 inspector generals. And since many of my colleagues seem to be confused about the role of an inspector general, well, let me go ahead and remind them. Their mission is to provide objective oversight to promote the economy, efficiency, and effectiveness and integrity of our agencies. Since those firings, the administration has been on a rampage of terminations and fork-in-the-road emails to gut the federal workforce. Their objective, let me be clear, replace impartial, independent federal employees with Musk, it has to be Musk first, Trump loyalists. On top of all that, Trump puts a billionaire who, by the way, gets $8 million a day in government contracts, significant conflict of interest, I'd say, and numerous complaints and open investigations in charge of waste, fraud, and abuse. Come on, y'all. It's the fox guarding the henhouse. And then you add illegal impoundment, funding freezes, extreme budget cuts, and you have a recipe for more abuse. Trump's billionaire friends getting contracts and payouts on the back of working families and veterans that we all represent. So you see how it's hard for me to reconcile that the chaos of illegal firings, the irresponsible handling of conflicts, the defunding of congressionally authorized services is a credible way to approach handling waste, fraud, and abuse. You see, I too want to see an end to the misuse of funding and abuse of our agencies, and especially within Homeland under this secretary. But from where I'm sitting, the biggest culprits of waste, fraud, and abuse are sitting at DOJ and in the White House. So Ms. Bernard and Ms. Ling, do you believe that the Office of Inspector General plays a critical role in safeguarding the agency from waste, from fraud, and abuse? Yes or no? Ms. Bernard?
Yes.
Thank you, Ms. Ling.
Yes,
thank you. And my follow-up question, Ms. Bernard and Ms. Ling, I want to ask you, in your opinion, is maintaining a sufficient federal workforce imperative to the success of the agency? Yes or no? Ms. Ling?
Yes.
Ms. Bernard?
Yes.
Ms. Bernard and Ms. Ling, I have another question. Is there a replacement for the Office of Inspector General or an office or department that can do the same work? Yes or no?
No.
Ms. Bernard?
Not that I'm aware of that has the same statutory function, no.
Yeah, I figured you'd say that. The reality is that we need our inspector generals, but this administration overnight sends them an email at 7 p.m. and tells them, you are fired, thank you for your service. This is the same administration that wants to talk about accountability. So I want to pivot quickly to the importance of maintaining a sufficient federal workforce. Mr. Curry, the GAO's testimony states that you found that FEMA had an overall staffing gap of about 35% across different positions at the fiscal year of 2022. What are the possible consequences if DHS does not properly staff up? Instances like disaster recovery and resilience.
Well, quite simply, if the workload remains the same, which I think it will, or increase moving forward, they're not going to have enough people to do the job that they're asked to do right now, unless they are, their mission or their authorities are reduced in some way.
So, Mr. Curry, we here say that we care deeply about the American people, our constituents. I have colleagues here that do everything they can to go after immigrants. But the reality is that this administration here is talking about cuts when we know that we need these funds for disaster recovery and resilience, and not having the workforce actually makes it impossible for us to be able to deliver those services. Let me close by saying this. As a member of this committee, especially this subcommittee, my responsibility is to ensure that we are in fact conducting oversight. And the reality that is that Trump is the president right now, that The Republicans have the House and the Senate, and so therefore we're going to have to do some internal assessment of how you are functioning, and especially today, given the unethical and illegal actions coming from billionaire bosses. Because I'm clear that maintaining independent oversight and accountability tools are critical for the health and success of our agencies and for the American people. And I want that to be on the record. With that, Mr. Chairman, I yield back.
Representative